sometimes I notice the most fun thing is actually being able to speak freely, and then sometimes things come up, and then it's like, that
Exactly.
was useful. I wanted to record that one.
Yeah, exactly. And you know why? It's because that energy, that openness, that you let the things flow without interfering, right? Because usually you feel like you have something spot on you, and then it's like an observer, it's like someone is watching you and might interfere with your judgment and what to say, feeling judged. And this thing, it's another aspect of how people are thinking about themselves, and it shouldn't, because if you are yourself, if you are open to it, you can do it even with the camera on, even with 100 people around you, even. That means you're freeing yourself and you are authentic, expressing
Yeah.
yourself. So yeah, I can understand that. Or like people who are like, I just want this setup, this angle, and then you arrange everything, you exhaust yourself and energy, and then you just maybe squeeze 5 minutes of essential talks. But because you depleted your energy, you are not focusing on what's supposed to happen and to come up for others,
Yeah.
like insights, or but yeah, this is how I see it, and these are my perspectives.
Do you ever record yourself during coaching conversations, for example, with his permission, obviously, coaching or consulting?
I didn't do it, but it's a good point. I would like to do it. I usually don't do it, um, from my perspectives. I don't need to do it, but most of the time people want to examine and analyze. But why I would like to do it is because I want to show to the clients, to people who transform themselves. And actually is right now I mean, I don't know about you, but usually people tend to forget the journey that the journey of transformation they embarked on, right? And they have this tendency to sleep because it's sometimes we cannot measure it, and you take it for granted, all this guidance, and you spark the transformation. I mean, we are just guiding them, right, as coaches, and they get the insights, but then they're in the heat of the day, and um, weeks, months, and so on, sometimes they don't realize the tremendous change they did, because can be incremental, can be a slight change, or there are days doesn't happen anything for them, and then they get an insight, and then suddenly the world shifts.
Yeah.
And this, when you have it on camera and you have it recorded, you can give it to the clients or people, or it's just look at this, or you can compare them. And I see it as a good practice. I think I will adopt that as well. It's really good. It's usually that I don't try to keep at the minimum the amount of recording and all these videos, and but definitely I'll consider it, and see effective ways also to nowadays with AI and other tools, you can
Yeah.
pack
Wow.
everything, snip it, right? As you said, we snip it, and then
Yeah.
you get the essential information at the speed of
That's
light.
what I actively am doing now. I'm going through the interviews that I did and actually posting that as shorts, as little pieces of information where I kind of said something useful, and then putting it out there as value. Because later on, I can actually redirect people. Just look through my um, through my YouTube. If that's something that resonates with you, great. Let's actually move on. But then they have a very easy entry point before they actually reach out to you as a person.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Creates a level of trust also, and seeing actually what's happening. It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is another thing nowadays, like the trust, and the people to have the confidence, to when they're usually when you are embarking on a journey, is like a person who I want to have a mentor or a coach, or someone who's actually you feel safe, and there's this safe space, and you don't have any shadow of a doubt of judgment, of being judged, or anything like that. I think this is massive, because in this way people are opening up, and then that is by default is a catalyst for transformation, right?
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's really
finding your true coach or decent coach, that is a tricky one because there are so many who are actually searching but not
mm,
actually finding, and
yeah.
that makes it difficult.
I feel like sometimes, like to make an analogy with this common dating apps where you just scroll and match, which I think there are a lot of disadvantages, mostly not discussing about it. But I mean, with coaches, it's could be something similar. I mean, you have to meet them, right? And then see if it suits you, see if you would like to work with that person, see how the collaboration could potentially work for months ahead for. So I think this is also like to bring the awareness and um, for people to actually feel that they can choose. But of course, as you said, sometimes it's not so easy to find them,
Hmm.
right?
It,
And
it
too
it does.
specific to your journey, right?
Is that does that have a correlation to the map of consciousness of David Hawkins, where he talks about
Sure.
different vibrations? That you kind of need to find a coach that's only like a couple of levels on top of your current state.
Yeah. So from my point of view, let's start from this point of view, from this perspective. For me personally, if I want to guide, and I'm the mission of guiding people, right, clients, and let's call it people who want to transform themselves, right? This is how I put it. I need to be at the vibration level which is higher, and it's something that the other people or clients or people who want to work with you would like to attain to, right? Because um first of all, people sometimes are driven by a sense of curiosity and wonder, usually in this kind of circumstances. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people have went through all the levels, right? It's just that they are not consistent in staying in a certain level of consciousness. So if we refer to the map of consciousness, if I recall correctly from David Hawkins, is like the list is like shame and guilt, and which is like 20, 30 of the scale. So if you are calibrated at that lower energy level, you need someone who can lift you up. So usually it's someone who is above that threshold, right? If you have someone, let's say even a coach, if it's at that level, obviously it cannot bring your coachee, right, to a higher level than you are, because you are not operating from that state of consciousness.
Hmm.
So I find it huge to realize and to be aware where you are finding yourself, you know. So if you're upper, you can bring the other coachee on that scale throughout techniques and so on. So I find it really important, the vibration level. So then for me, I'm asking myself at which vibration level I'm operating. It can be that we are slipping away, right? Can be moments. So then you just retune to that energy, and it's like, from which energy I'm operating, to be aware, because this is what you are sharing and transmitting with others, and it can be felt.
Hmm.
So the
Yeah.
client can feel that, and no matter what you're saying, or I mean, it's the vibration can be felt.
Yeah, it's such an interesting one.
Uh,
Yeah, because and do you actively tune yourself into that a little bit higher level comparison to your coachee?
yeah, so I do different things. So one is to before starting the session, is to tune to myself, to take that moment in which whatever happens in my life, like everyone has things right in their lives. So I'm just preparing the space of more or less being an empty container, if it
Hmm.
makes sense. So it's just from nothingness. Because if I'm filled with other stuff, I might be biased for that person, and I might, uh, that I'm not I'm not finding the light source that the person needs in that moment.
Yeah.
Now, during the session, it can be that if you realize that might have some common points, and you say, yeah, I agree on this because it happened to me, and so on. Just to be aware when you give your example, or when you are trying to find a way to communicate what you are feeling and seeing, not to be again biased by your own stories or triggers, or like because something brought you in the lower vibration, to stay there, rather even to acknowledge it. And if I may, I believe that coaches and clients and every person want to see an authentic person. So even if that happens to you as a coach, just to acknowledge that and say it, that happened to me, and actually, to be honest with you, this and this happened. I felt a bit triggered also, but those moments in which you discuss, and then you again set the stage for the client, the coachee, because it's not you on the spotlight, it's the other person.
Yeah.
So it's not about you, right? But yeah, it's about tuning in and finding that space, and to realize, which I believe it also comes with self-awareness and the practice, and with experience as well, because to reach that point, I failed many times, right? I mean, I had friends and people, and people whom I haven't known, and I was always asking about feedback and say, please be radically constructive feedback, bring it to me, because if you care about you know about transformation and people generally, you'd bring that raw authenticity, and this is what I emphasize over and over again. I think in overall, we I believe as leaders, because a coach is also a leader, is to bring that unapologetic you up front, because that creates the transformation further on, and instead of just putting mask over mask, and blocking this, and then becomes self-sabotage. And so it's like, it just opens up. And I know it's challenging also for people to actually be vulnerable, especially um, on a setup in which other groups are involved, or publicly.
Yeah.
But once you own that, well, it's you know you don't have to think about this anymore.
Yeah. Once you own that, as in letting go of the expectations what other people expect upon you, and be truly in acceptance of yourself, then beautiful things are actually possible, just in general. That's what I
Exactly.
noticed.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
What was, because you have read Power versus Force, and have you read Letting Go as well?
Which one? Sorry.
Letting Go, also of David Hawkins.
No, not yet. But
Um,
yeah, tell me.
what were the the strange insights that you had during Power versus Force? That was there something for you that really resonated?
Yes. So how I see it from my perspective, again, because everyone is based on their journey and level of conscious understanding, is that if I were to sum up this power versus force, is basically, um so let's take the example of letting go, because you're mentioning, um and it again comes from my experience, which I find it powerful now to explain, is the distinction between letting go and being attached, right? So the way I put it, like in a simple way, is that letting go is related to the power, and attachment is related to the force. But why is that? Is because when I'm attached, there is a force. I mean, force can be, it's a bit vaguely described by me right now, but in this context, like force is like, there is a force, can be negative, constrictive, right? Exactly. I mean, can be released. I mean, it's also force, right? The action reaction. But in this way, you are not, you are forcing, you're constricting so much that there is a force growing within you. Now that force could be used in a negative way or positive way as well, depending on how aware and conscious you are in your journey. However, if you let go, you regain your power. So in this way, you're still a power, like an energy, a force within you. But when I think about power, is that rising from unconditional love, from the strength you have, from the challenges you overcame, right? So
Mhm.
that kind of power. I'm not talking about the power in a sense of being in a position of power and using that in a certain way. No, no, no. It's just that it's just the intrinsic, the within power after you have a breakthrough, after letting go, after I think it's also related to the self-acceptance and being in your empowered state. So that's empowered. You are empowered, so you're in your power. So I just gave an example in terms of what happens for you if you let go. An analogy, right?
And what did you think about the idea of um, the whole world consists out of frequency, and depending on how we actually look at a certain thing, the material or the subject situation actually changes. And in his storyline, he actually explained that every possible solution is included in that situation, in that material that we have around us. The only difference is that the more physical and the more like actual items,
Mm.
the more physical that they are, that's the slower that they actually can change, as far as I understood it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you are talking about the dense energy they emanate, right? It's the density. The more they're, because if you think about, they are built from materials, right? I mean,
Hmm.
if we think about frequencies, the material carry also frequency. Like the best way to describe it is that, because I have a structural engineering background, right? Every structure we build as engineers, and everyone building, doesn't matter, it has a frequency. That's why they said, there is a fun example, I don't know if you've heard about this, but if you put an opera singer inside of a building, and her frequency, right, because there are chords, it's emanating, right? So if that frequency is matching the frequency of that building, it can demolish the entire building. Well, I
Yes.
don't know if in history this happened actually, but I think the best case for people, if they're curious, I think they're actually physically, you can see that with the glass, right? There's vibrating. So I believe that with material is the same. Like we have everything. Like we have our phone, right? So it's built from materials, and these materials are carrying the density. So is the material properties, but then together they have a certain frequency, right?
Hmm.
It's like depending how dense they are.
Yeah.
Now for humans, so I would say like an object is how you say, it doesn't have any spirit within. So it's a dense energy. It's a dense frequency. It is what it is, right? Doesn't have self-sustained cells that grow. So these are the objects. They're dead, let's say, so to speak. Now the good part with people is that as long as they are alive, they are not dead, obviously. um, but what happens is that if you are surrounded by these dense energies, right? If you are working on for example on a factory, working with this kind of material, and it's dark, and is they carry a certain frequency, like the colors as well, right? I think the best example is colors also carry frequencies, and all the spectrum, if we think about black. So then if you are working somewhere there and everyone is like sad, frequency or whatsoever, plus the environment is so with dense energies and not vibrant in a way that can shift something within you, then you tend to take that vibrational energy of that place, that environment with those people, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
are staying there, believing that that's the life. I think it resumes to being aware of all these aspects, right? The objects, and I think there's a lot consensus about and study, and actually it's happening to people as well about the feng shui, right? And where you position yourself and the door and everything. So imagine that creates an impact within you and your lifestyle. I can imagine like what it happens to have multiple objects and objects that are, not pertaining to higher frequencies, what can do to you.
Yeah.
So my conclusion is that people should be aware, first of all, about this. I think that's the first step, to be aware, and then of course take an action. So that action might be starting from, simply going out, and if you're lucky to live in a sun area, to just take that frequency, breathe in. Besides vitamins for the body, is also a good frequency for keeping you alive and being grateful. We didn't touch upon gratefulness, which is higher frequency, obviously, but I think this starts like gradually, and then going to communities and people, and having that courage, so to speak. If I look back in my life, to think like, oh, from outside these people are looking weird, they are behaving weirdly, because that frequency, that energy maybe is not familiar to you, right?
Yeah.
So what is not familiar, it's usually dismissed. But it's not the case. If you are aware of that, then you still have that gram of courage to say, I'm jumping in, I meet those people, I don't know who they are, I will just surrender. That's
Yeah.
another important one. It's surrendering. It's like, see how it goes. And then at the end of it, because the frequency of those people or community was so high, by default, if you're not doing anything, you're just staying there in that space. After that experience, you'll just be transformed by
After
the,
which specific experience?
for example, if you are in a community with people who are promoting you know love, unconditional love, there are speakers who are motivators. You spend 2 3 4 days around those people who are bringing these positive vibes, encouragement, and everything is like sparkling all the time, all the time. And you are there, and let's assume you're a person who's like never done personal development, never heard about this kind of things. You're just sitting there. By default, you're in that sphere, right?
Yeah.
um, so you'd feel, although you're not be could be that you are not receptive, but you'd feel that. So then you go back, maybe it doesn't hit you in that moment when you left, but it will hit you because it's in that area. But if you don't do anything throughout the days and weeks and months, obviously you'll return to your state, right, to your initial state. It's the
Yeah.
same with the sponge. You just, it can elongate, but then it goes to the initial state. So the same with people and frequencies. If you are not consistently taking care of the vibrations, to make them your
Do you think
current
that we need
state.
to put in effort to feel that higher vibrational state? Or is it the letting go of effort which makes us boil up into the water, into the consciousness, into the...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to distinguish a bit. So I would say that effort is required as long as the effort has an intention for change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this regard, if I put the effort, let's say I'm writing down what's not good in my life, what I'm complaining about, I'm writing forgiveness letter, gratitude letter, I'm taking actions for whatever actions might be to go out of that state. then this is the effort. And definitely it's how I call it, effort, right? But we need to pay attention if the effort is sustained by the conscious actions and being aware, because I can lift
Mm-hmm.
I can lift weights forever, right? If I don't have a plan, and if I don't measure it, and if I don't tune to myself, it's like, how many weights should I lift? And if I lift everything at once, right? I mean, another analogy, I do a lot of effort, boom, crashing it, but then goes down. So then it's not self-sustained effort. It's just an effort, and then people might get discouraged because they they think they would get the result fast. So it's not
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
What I'm often experiencing, or what I'm actively experiencing for myself,
Mm.
is the more that I let go of the expectation of doing, as in I'm letting go of my own, it's strange to say, but my physical attachments
Hmm.
makes me feel into certain things. I'm like, this is a good option. I'm not going to do for that. So, and Abraham Hicks is also very big on that one. Um, Letting go of the result of go of the expectations. I barely do anything nowadays, but I'm having so much impact. It's really unbelievable. But I'm doing that because I'm letting go of that expectation, what I think that I have to do, or what the marketeers think that they have to do, or what my thoughts think that I have to do. Or it's, for me, the letting go part has really been transformational on my intuition level, manifestation level, my own physical being. So my health is actually getting better because of it.
Hmm.
So that was the reason why I asked it, as in, should we kind of focus on the effort to actually raise it, or should we just focus on the letting go to raise it? Because that's the natural state. What's the natural state? Is the enlightenment the natural state, or is the resistance? Let's call it the resistance, the physical resistance,
Sure.
the natural state.
Sure, I think yeah, it's a good point what you said, but yeah, and I believe there are several levels. And let's say for your case, right, you reached a certain consciousness and vibration level that for you is like letting go, and you let the universe going through you and through your authenticity, and you express yourself. But if we relate to most of the people, maybe hopefully we'll together raise the vibration, so then we don't need to discuss this anymore. But and for people who never been accustomed to such opening or revelations or inner work or experiences, this might be confusing, right? Because you tell them, you let go, okay, I let go.
Let's watch Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, where is the effort in it? So that's the distinctions. But for you, yeah, totally. I mean, I resonate with you completely. It's like it comes to you, you let go, and it's just being through you, but you accumulate it. You took, like a filter, you took throughout years and experiences what is necessary for you, for your matrix to be there, to say, I let go, and I'm basically the universe expressing through myself entirely and manifesting. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And everyone wants to reach that point. But if we're referring to those people who could be confused if we say let go, surrender, and then it's like, okay, I have a couch, I can let go and surrender. Yeah. So yeah, that was my distinction for the effort in this regard, right?
Yeah. And I always find it a little bit difficult. Well, not difficult. Um, I just randomly chant whatever I feel like
Hmm.
chanting. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm making mistakes. Like whatever I'm saying, some people will really resonate with it, and other people will really hate me for it. And not really hate me because it's negative or something like that. But I had that in the past when I was under that level 200 line.
Mhm.
I felt like everyone who was talking about love, I kind of wanted to knock him down, because the step is just too great. It's just too big.
Yeah.
And that created the friction and it's not really hate, but the friction. Um, so whenever I say something, it's just whoever listens to me at this moment, I don't care.
Exactly.
And that's such a nice, because then you get kind of into that phase where you mentioned, as in then you can actually just speak up, be in crowds, in whatever, without actually being attached to that result, what they think of you.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's a very
Because
nice place to be.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Exactly. Because yeah, it's that moment in which you are freeing yourself actually of any judgment that might come on you, and actually that's the meaning of being in these high frequencies, that it comes by default. That's a side effect, so to speak, for people to realize, right? It's just a side
True.
effect. You get that bonus if you're in that state, because it's ultimately it's you know you are operating from that frequency. If someone, as you said, doesn't get you, it's fine. And for me, how I see it is like, it's still fine. If you hate me, that's a sign that's amazing. At first, you listen to me, so it's, I appreciate that you hate me, that because you paid attention to what I said.
That's a good one.
Yeah, this is how I see these things nowadays. It's like, I appreciate. Thank you very much. That means it's something, as you said, a friction. If you use the word hate, which is quite dense, and I usually don't use it, but it's fine. If you say hate, they actually hate the part of themselves that oppose resistance to be where you are.
Yeah,
It makes sense. Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing to do with you personally. It's just still a reflection of them. They probably, mostly, I mean, I would believe that those people who hate you, it's actually that those people who actually, they will be the first to jump on transformation.
probably.
Yeah.
And because you're following a couple of authors yourself as well, writers, authors, YouTubers, influencers, stuff like that. Um, do you actively search out people that you resonated with or not yet, but deliberately follow them? For example, spiritual teachers, or for me, um, one of the painful things is actually letting go of friends or influencers that you
Mm-hmm.
followed in the past, but you've kind of outgrown them.
Mm-hmm.
That is sometimes a tricky one because then you feel like you're lost into the abyss, into that next step.
Okay, I understand you. Yeah, I feel what you're saying. So for me, it goes the following. I Again, it goes to the vibration and the energy. So I reach a point in which I see, because of my own transformation throughout time, and empathy and compassion and struggles and so on, I reach a point in which I also reflect on myself. It's like, okay, I was a human being who at some point I had these insights and so on. Then I was in a journey, on my own journey. But the journey I am, and the stage and the years, they're way different than other people. So I tend to go outside this comparison. So this is one thing. And then when I see that the person, what I'm following now, I follow the, so when I see the message, whatever they communicate, the vibration, I see how it resonates to me when it comes to me. So how it comes to me, because I might be in my journey, I took time and effort effort to go in that. So I reach a point in which I whatever comes to me is, yeah, okay, whatever, but it's actually because I reached that point, so I have to remind myself, yeah, because I took that responsibility, ownership to go there. But it's nothing to do with that. That person is doing amazing, maybe has a message to deliver, whoever knows. But I think it's normal to happen that way, and we shouldn't be hard on ourselves. And I think it's also normal to have different mentors and coaches throughout time, and some of them could be that you don't resonate with them anymore. And I think it's also part of responsibility and courage, and actually acknowledging, even as a coach with the clients, to say at some point, look, if you feel like you don't resonate with me or it impedes your transformation, just look for someone who can support you in your journey. And I think that's massive. And this is leadership from my point of view, because you don't block, you don't interfere. You are aware that you don't do this just because you want that time, energy, or money, especially from a person. You are transcending that. You want the greatest good for that person you are helping. So that implies that being might be that you are aware that they need someone else, or they need a different message, or they need an experience. Just go into that retreat and do whatever, forget about me for days or weeks,
Yeah.
and see how it feels afterwards. So I feel it's a normal feeling to have. It's just that, just it's fine to think, what happens if I don't see this person the same anymore, or if you meet them, you first regarded as a teacher, because usually we put on a pedestal when we're in the beginning stage, and then we realize there is no pedestal,
Yes.
right? Just evolution. And then you might communicate with that person and you find out that probably at some point you don't have anything in common, but still that person triggered something within you to transform. So then you can say thank you and move forward. Or I mean, if it's social media, you can also decide what you do, because it's just a tool. But I believe it's normal. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
and for me,
Mhm,
the challenge point that I experience for myself at least is
mhm.
the hardest thing is to actually let go of old ideas that helped me to get me to where I am right now, but letting go of them to actually make space for new ideas.
Yeah, that's massive.
And then very practically on YouTube, just unfollow, unsubscribe certain old readers. I was kind of addicted to the whole politics system. Actually, get the whole politic
Mhm.
out of my social media feeds. Like everything, every time that someone comments in the politic scene, like okay, delete, go away, because it's so putting your own vibration as the highest level is something that I've only recently learned how to actually do that.
Mm,
Just not focusing on the physical things, on you being the saver for the physical things and working with force against that. But just, okay, my focus point should only be these kind of people and these kind of interactions. And
right.
then your whole world actually changes, strangely enough.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
That's fun, and it's beautiful fun. Yeah, I think it's also like a decluttering, right? It's the same when you're cleaning, and it's the same with thoughts and energy feelings, right? That what used to serve you doesn't serve you anymore, and to realize that. Yeah, and I think it's a constant process on that. I mean, it's part of the growth as well, just to take some time to reflect, introspect, and realize what's going on and what's not. And that's why I believe that this is what also coaches are there for, right? Uh, to serve us as a reminder and guidance whenever feel like we lost the grip, or we think that we are behind our life, which is not happening. It's just a universal, intelligent, brilliant system with us to remind us, that some of the things and patterns we inherited is not who we are at the core. So then we have to let go, put that away, clear the space, and let other things come up to our life. So you said it really nice now.
Yeah.
Mm.
There is an idea that because DNA is actually stored inside of your body and that shapes your nose the way that it is,
Mhm.
comparison to your grandfather or several generations before you. And as I understand now more and more, is that emotions and traumas and memories are actually stored inside of your body.
Mhm.
So is it if I actually have the nose of my grandfather that I partially have that his memories stored in my nose, into the cells, into the molecules of my nose, that's actually part of me right now?
Mm.
What are your thoughts about that one?
I mean, as I said again, I'm a researcher. Usually, it fascinates me these topics. So from this aspect, I haven't looked into, like physically, if you have the shape, if it's stored there. So this I cannot comment on that. But however, I can, if I may, I have some thoughts in terms of lineage, right, and what we are taking. And I believe that. I don't know exactly in which parts, if the parts of our body resemblance with our ancestors, it has a direct correlation on the emotional trauma. This would be, it's really fascinating. Now that you said, I'm really fascinated if someone is looking into that and we can get some data. However, I
Yeah,
don't know at this moment. Um, but what I can say is that, and again, I experienced that, is that we are bounded. So first it happens when we are born, right? We have a umbilical cord, like an energy cord, to our mother. But not only that, it's like she also had beforehand. And as a matter of fact, that's another important aspect. Through sexual, so I'm talking about the sexual conception and everything. So there are two individuals coming together. They're also sharing this kind of information, right? So the energy and everything. So they are bonding. So that means I'm bringing from, let's say, father and mother side, and this perpetuates throughout time. So in this way, if I what I'm talking in terms of energy, because this is how I like to refer to, is conducted. It's like a conductor, right? So what happens? You have them stored in your matrix, in your information. I don't know whether in your physical body exactly in a year or yeah,
I don't know
but
either.
yeah, this interesting. There's a correlation. I will be curious to find out. But I believe that there is, and if you think about it, not, I mean, even once we are here alive, once we are small kids, like the babies and everyone, like if I'm not mistaken, for the first 7 years, huge amount of information is taken and fast and processed fast, and it's embedded, right? It's embedded within us, and we take that as well. So we have a surplus. So we have everything, and what's left for us once we reach the maturity is to figure it out. And usually the
Yeah,
figuring it out comes with experiences, failures, mistakes, hardships, you make you name it, right?
yeah,
But I believe that that's the responsibility for clearing this out, and clearing this out not only with ourselves or the surroundings, but also with parents, grandparents, and lineage. Now, it may be the case that we don't know what happened, right? We don't have information, so that we go punctual, and then we feel in our body if there was a anger, frustration, it's felt, and subconsciously is brought by the individual to reality, right? Um, but it's the responsibility for realizing, taking care of that, and clearing that. So even if you don't know, it's like forgiveness exercises, like daily, or asking for clarity, or um being genuine and wanting to find out what's going on, although you don't know. It already opens up for you to receive that information in a way, either if it's through the body pain, and then you eventually find out that it's stored because of what happened in the past, or there was something there. You are already on the path of releasing it, although you don't know. So I think it's also important from this point of view. um and it makes sense if you think about it. There is a case with the twins born, right? And
hmm
they were taken apart from each other throughout life. And that usually the twins, they have the same, you know genetic code or similarities, let's say. I don't want to confuse people, but you'd expect to have the same behaviors, the same everything, but they were apart. So they developed certain traits. That means that the environment has something to do as well, but the trigger could be at the source of the thing. So whatever they are doing as jobs, they could be different. Their actions led to similarities, although the jobs were different, just because probably the source of everything what was inside them arose to the external,
Hmm.
but could be different jobs, different countries, different, right? So that was for me
And they
fascinating.
actually did come together because of that, or
Uh,
what was the commonality that brought them together again?
yeah, I think the commonality is that they had I think if it's that story is about they had this a partner called the same, they had a partner with the same name, they had some
That's so funny.
yeah, it's fascinating, this part of unseen world, right?
Yeah,
So you see, sometimes it's also based on facts, and I love that science is taking a leap on understanding that and presenting it. But yeah, it's important to realize that we are bundle of um, ages of, you know, storing information, emotions, energy, and so on. And yeah, putting it in other words, I believe that also we are here to heal that, to raise the vibration, the frequency of human evolution. Um, and maybe I might sound a bit woo, but it is what it is. The spirits that and spirits in their parents, grandparents, grandparents that were here, and they didn't know how to do that, and they are not physically on this planet. I could say they would be happy. Like, if we can imagine a happy face, just imagine a happy face saying thank you to you for doing the work that generations couldn't do it, and that's massive, right?
yeah,
I don't want to sound like, take a lot of responsibility on the shoulders, but it's more like releasing those and not taking anymore. It's like, no, I free everyone, I free the lineage, I free. Just let's create consciously, and I believe that's the next step of human evolution we are experiencing in this way that was
yeah,
never before. Yeah.
yeah. That's an interesting one. Making the shift from IQ to EQ. I think that's the massive one. Because then we stop actually identifying or putting value to us as intellectual beings, but
Mhm.
putting value to us as emotional and vibrational beings, and then leaning into that, which makes that the most prominent go-to thing, because then we can actually truly step into our power, into intuition, manifestation,
Yeah.
and other beautiful, beautiful actions that we're able to do. I'm not there yet, but I'm practicing.
And we are uh e- ever evolving, like everyone is.
Ever evolving, indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah, yeah.
Um, is there something that you want to end the call with, the conversation?
um I totally enjoy, I have to say, it was amazing. Thank
Me
you,
too.
Tim. I was, unexpected, but because of that frequency, higher frequency, where everything unfolds. So what I can say, and I cannot emphasize more than that, because it's always for me, it's recurring. It's that, you know, regardless of problems we might think we have and issues and all these things, when we are operating in that frequency, we'll get the insights, we'll get the downloads, we'll get the resources, the force, the power, whatever you might call it, to do the things we are meant to do, and the things that are aligned with us and they're powerful. And from there, there's the abundance, like being yourself, because everything is connected, directly connected, right? So I think that's the conclusion that I would like to, I mean, to end, because I believe that's the core of everything.
Yes.
And yeah, everyone needs to realize, to find out how to do it.
Because
And
you mentioned your website that you have. What is your website?
no, now I have a website called holisticstar.net.
Okay,
I
great.
just started with, but that's actually collaborative website, so it's not my own. I'm building my own now. I have my Instagram, the alchemist Victor, with the dots in between the words. So there I'm sharing with people as well. But the website is also the Holistic Star. It came to me with the realization of holistic, like integrative approach, and star stands for um, if I recall, shifting towards self-realization.
Okay, nice.
So everyone
Yeah.
is a
So
star because
I will post because we will actually have this recording, putting that online, and actually post your Instagram and the website,
oh,
because it
thank you.
perhaps actually creates some traction there. And yeah,
Yeah,
would be fun,
it
right?
was amazing. It was amazing discussion to have with you, Tim. And yeah, I believe we co-create. We are in this together, and I also believe that I'm here partially also to collaborate and put other people's on the spotlights and be stars. And I'm also working on that. It's quite challenging sometimes because you're looking for getting paid clients and so on, but I'm also looking to the perspective of what that person might be by tapping into their values and then create the wealth. And so I'm also focused on vibration awareness and level up irrespective of the current situation. And I like to do that and share with people. And you may never know how things are unfolding. So I believe in
Yes.
the magnificence of the universe and higher vibrations.
Very good. Thank you very much. Then I'll
Thank
just
you.
close the recording for a second.